It hasn't even been 24 hours since we published our video about the Faux-carl Bathys / Bathys active noise cancelling wireless Bluetooth headphones. And already I think that video has done close to 35,000 views, which is incredible. So thank you to everybody who's watched it so far. I really do mean that. And what surprises me actually is it's done as well as some of the other recent videos where normally I expect like integrated amplifiers or loudspeakers to do well. Headphones not so much, but it seems that active noise cancelling headphones or Bluetooth headphones are popular with you, the viewership. Now with the paint barely dry on that video, I want to tackle some comments because we've had quite a few so far. There have been quite a few good ones. And besides, I kind of want to put all this active noise cancelling stuff to bed. Well, kind of, we'll get to that at the end. So I put a bunch of comments from the last 22 hours into a Google Doc on my iPad, and we're just going to go through them one by one. So the first comment comes from Gil Moskovich, and he writes, "The Beloved is an excellent band, thank you for mentioning them." Well, yes, but I don't think time has been very kind to the more sort of electronic pop stuff that they did in the early 90s. And personally, I don't really play that very much anymore, apart from that little nostalgic trip I had when listening to Bathys. But the one album I do play religiously every year without fail is their debut, Where It Is, which was reissued as a 2 CD set a couple of years ago. Fantastic. I thoroughly recommend you get a hold of it if you can. But also I recommend tracking down the vinyl, because the original vinyl, and there is only one original pressing, there was no reissue done, I don't think. The original vinyl has a completely different track sequencing to the CD. And so I bought the vinyl first, and that's how I got to know the album. And it starts with, I think the song, If Pennies Came From Heaven, is Karl Marx mistaken, or would Karl Marx be mistaken? And that for me is how the album starts. When I finally got the CD, I was crushed to realize that they changed it, or for some reason they changed it. I don't even know why. And it does bug me a little bit when this happens, but this was back in 85, 86, maybe 87. But I cannot get enough of the Beloved in their Where It Is phase, when they wanted to be essentially the Smiths, and before they became a band that wanted to be essentially New Order. Next comment comes from Ryan E, and he writes, "It's pronounced Faux-carl. I'll be damned." Yeah, I think I learned that one the hard way a few years ago, because I think I was calling them Faux-carl for many years. But no, they're French, and they're called Faux-carl. And it's their company, so they can call it what they like, and they can tell us how to pronounce it. Now we come to a couple of comments. The first one from Judge TK, and he writes, "Excellent review. Will you be reviewing the ML5909? And then also Joshua Jones writes, "Mark Levinson headphones would be cool to get that review." It would, wouldn't it? But I've already done it in podcast format with Six Moons' Srajan Ibayan. So we did like a to and fro. Like he had the headphones for a few weeks, then I had them for a few weeks, and then we had a podcast conversation about what we heard. So I'll put that link in the description box below. Right, the next three comments relate to, I guess, my grumble about the size or the bulk of the Bathys on the head as they feel for me. Obviously it's a very personal thing. And Kesa Gitame writes, "I feel the same way about the bulkiness of the Audeze LCD XC. Could never imagine leaving the house for a walk with those. Great review." Yeah, those LCD XCs are heavy, and they've got the big shiny ear cups, and yeah, they're wired headphones. I would never take those outdoors. Then Brent Levasseur writes, "You made an excellent point that headphones when worn in public are a fashion statement." I don't think I said statement, but I think they are a fashion item, maybe. "That's why I never wear my Hi-Fi Man Ananda BT headphones in public and much prefer IEMs when going out and about." I generally feel the same way, although I think the Ananda BT are open back. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But yeah, big headphones, I'm not a fan in the street. You know, there's always that very fine line between what's acceptable for me on my head when I'm going outside. I think less so on a train or a plane, because you can have big bulky ones there, but the general sort of out and about day to day, I'm a bit more sensitive to bulky headphones than I am at home. And like at home, they can be as big and as weird as they like. Apart from those Abyss headphones, the one with the big flat bar across the top. They sound amazing, but they look insane. I'm sorry, I draw the line at those. However, the Abyss Diana, I would love a pair of those. Those things look wonderful. And then Swiss 88, right? You look like a Cyberman from Doctor Who with the Faux-carls on, lol. And it's funny, I said that about myself in the original video, but I cut it out. Okay, next comment is of a more technical bent. It comes from Noah Bershatsky, and he writes, the DAC via USB isn't missing the point, it is the point. Wired lossless active noise cancelling. The Sony and Apple can't do that. And he's right, they can't. So what Noah is referring to here is the USB connection that you can establish between the headphones and a laptop, or the headphones and a phone. And yes, you do effectively get lossless audio transmission from that source device to the headphones. But it introduces the wire again. I'm sorry, but I just do not think that the 99% of users will be doing that. It's a nice to have extra for audiophiles like us, but even me being a sort of, self-identifying audiophile, I wouldn't use that cable hardly ever. Maybe in a really, really quiet environment, maybe at home I might, but I just don't think the juice is worth the squeeze on that one, really. To introduce a cable to get sort of an extra little bit of sound quality. Now here's the thing, audiophiles love, and I do this as well, amplify big deltas to sort of emphasize how important they are to us. So I can empathize with Noah's position on this, like he wants to make a bigger thing about the delta between wired and wireless listening with the Bathys. But for me, it's no different to say listening to, I don't know, a 320 kilobits per second Ogg Vorbis stream from Spotify and let's say a lossless stream from Apple. Yes, you can hear a difference. No, it is not a night and day blows everything else out of the water difference. No, not at all. And I think we have to maintain a sense of perspective here, especially when we're dealing with a product that really kind of aims a little bit more towards your sort of Apple AirPods Max buyer or your Sonos buyer. We can't go full ham audiophile on everything that comes to market just because it plays to our own sensibilities in its sort of marginal feature set or on the margins of its feature set. I simply won't do that. Yes, it's there for you. By all means, have at it. But for me, when I'm comparing active noise cancelling Bluetooth headphones, I'm going to use the Bluetooth. One more thought about that actually is that Bluetooth streams tend to operate at around 600-ish kilobits per second. Sony LDAC can go up to 990. I'm not so sure how often it operates at 990 because in a slightly more congested situation, I'm on about like Bluetooth congestion, or where the connection between the phone and the headphones is a bit weaker, it drops down to 660. aptX is around sort of 500, 600, depending on which flavor of aptX. It gets really murky really quickly, and it becomes a game of numbers obsession really quickly if you're not careful. So essentially what I'm trying to say here is Bluetooth transmission from your smartphone to your headphones is roughly twice that of the best you can get from Spotify right now. It's like double lossy, if you like. So the other thing is that lossless Bluetooth, as far as I can tell, is just around the corner, which will make that USB cable between the Bathys and a computer or a smartphone look incredibly anachronistic in a couple of years. Next one relates to the same topic actually, because Miguel Barrio also writes about this USB connection. He writes, one important point of the Bathys is that it can play losslessly via USB cable to your phone. Yes, we know this. Up to 24.192. Although even Redbook sounds better over the cable than Bluetooth. Yes, it does. A little bit better. So you can use it over Bluetooth, and when you really want to sit down and listen in better quality, you can do without toting around a DAC. This is a great point actually. The one good thing about that USB connection is it puts to bed the sort of debate about which dongle DAC to use, right? Or whatever kind of DAC to use. So I do like it from that point of view. Yes, Miguel is right. Theoretically, you can get 24.192 out of your source device. And if that's an iPhone, that will come out, but you need to introduce another adapter to convert the USB-C to Lightning, which is a bit of a pain unless you've got a Lightning to USB-C cable that's about 1 meter long. But the other thing is that if you're using an Android phone, the Android phone's operating system in 9 times out of 10 resamples the audio to 48 kilohertz, which makes high-res it's kind of pointless really, unless you're using USB Audio Player Pro, but then you can't offline content in that app. So again, we're into this sort of audiophile quagmire that I just really think that the Bathys very beautifully pull us away from, as do the Sony. I'm looking at them over here, and the Bowers and Wilkins. I like the fact that these are all-in-one solutions, right? No cables. You've got the streamer in the ear cup. You've got the amplifiers in the ear cup driving directly the driver. DSP tuned to that driver, which brings us to our next comment. So NoName23 writes, could the Faux-carl almost be thought of as a future-fi headphone? I suppose if they could stream music independently and wirelessly connect to your home LAN, it would be a suitable moniker. I wonder if we'll see headphones morph into completely independent devices. Could be interesting. Thanks for the great multiple comparisons, John. Keep up the good work. You're most welcome. Okay, I see what I was getting a bit confused reading that, but what NoName23 is, I think he's alluding to, is having basically a wireless audio network streamer inside your Bluetooth headphone. So in here is the wireless receiver, so you might be able to stream Spotify or Apple direct to it. I think the big roadblock with Wi-Fi or wireless is energy consumption and the impact that has on battery life. So the reason why I think we haven't seen wireless or Wi-Fi type headphones is because the battery wouldn't last very long in the headphone and also on your phone. Many people have used AirPlay to stream from their phone to a hi-fi system will know that it can, but not always, depending I think on the version of AirPlay, hit the battery pretty hard on the phone. And it's nowhere near as energy efficient as Bluetooth, which is why I think Bluetooth has become the standard for wireless headphones. But if you know more about this than I do, which wouldn't be difficult really, then please let us know in the comments below what you know. Don't tell me what I don't know, tell me what you know. That would be really helpful, and then we can all learn something. So Brian Tybalt writes about Bluetooth codecs, and he asks, do you think the device the music is on plays any role in how the sound is represented in the different headphones? Yes, it does. But it's only tiny. It's only one of those sort of audiophile deltas. So for example, if we pair the Faux-carl Bathys with this iPad, the connection will be using what's known as the AAC codec. And that really means how the audio stream is packed up by the iPad, sent across to the headphones, and then unpacked by the headphones. And it's lossy. And I think AAC caps out at 2 per second. I don't think there's a 320 version of that. If you pair the Bathys with an Android device, like a Google Pixel 6 or 7 or whatever, then it won't be AAC that's the codec in play, it'll be aptX. That runs at a slightly higher bit rate of about 600. But that doesn't mean it's automatically better than AAC. Just because the number is higher doesn't automatically mean higher quality. It depends upon how the codec works. But yes, in this particular case, pairing an Android phone with the Bathys gives me, the way I hear it, a slightly better sound quality than using an iPhone or an iPad. But it's not a difference that I'm prepared to sweat, given that I like a lot of the things that the iPad and the iPhone, or rather iPad OS and iOS do. So it's a matter of making a compromise, right? Like if there was a big difference, a huge difference between the sound of an iPhone with a Bathys and an Android phone with a Bathys, I would make more of it. And I'd probably go, well, look, I think in this particular case, Android is the way to go. But I don't hear it that way. All right, let's wrap this video up with a comment from Avatar Dylan. He writes, what about Bowers and Wilkins PX8 versus Faux-carl Bathys? Yeah, many people wrote this comment. What about the Bowers and Wilkins PX8? I don't have a pair. I did just send an email to my contacts at Bowers and Wilkins in Europe asking for a review sample. I'm not really very keen to buy a pair because that's another chunk of money going out. But if I have to, then I probably will, because I want to know how the PX8 compares to the Bathys. Myself, personally, I want to know. So either Bowers in Europe are going to send me a pair, or I will eventually go out and buy a pair. But this is all going to take some time. This may be 4, 5, 6 weeks away. But I promise you, I will get to it eventually. I really will, because I want to know, and I want to tell you what I find out. But then after that, I really do have to draw a line under this whole Bluetooth active noise cancellation thing, although I know what's going to happen. Is like there'll be some other company that announces their sort of uber premium version of active noise cancelling Bluetooth headphones, and this whole charade will just start again. One thing I have to add is that in my original video about the Bathys, I messed up. I said the price in Europe was 699 euros, and it's not. It's 799 euros. There was somebody who left a comment about it, but I couldn't find it. But yeah, thank you to that person who left that comment for being eagle-eyed and spotting my mistake. Mea culpa, I should not have made that mistake. That's really not very cool of me. So I'm hopefully, paying penance here in correcting that. That also means that really the Bathys are 150 euros more expensive than the Apple AirPods Max in Europe, which slightly shifts my side-by-side comparison finding a little bit more in favour of the AirPods Max, because they offer greater value for money, given that, to me, new information about the Faux-carl's price. So yeah, anyway, like I make mistakes from time to time. It does happen. I am human. I hope you will continue to find them for me so I can, correct them in videos like this. If you liked this video, if you thought it was useful, then please give us a like down below. If you like my attitude towards responding to comments from you people in videos like this, then please consider subscribing to this channel. And as always, thank you ever so much for watching.